All
Your
right.
love.
We're live. I'm so excited. What's going on, everyone? So excited to be here. We're streaming live. I'm moderating. Tim's going to be our speaker. I'm so excited. Should I just go give you this amazing introduction, Tim? Let me tell you a little bit about Tim. Tim is every day is a reminder that we are ridiculously blessed and built for success. You're a coach, a mentor. You believe habits and routines build, right? Build some strategies with that. You're the host of a podcast called the Ridiculously Blessed Podcast. And I'm so excited to be able to moderate for you, Tim. I can't wait to hear your presentation. Keep the crowd excited as we engage in your information and all the value that you're going to bring. You're creative and you're just generally a good dude, huh?
Just try to be.
This is great. What an honor.
Yeah, thank you for the introduction. Thank you for being here to moderate and chat with me for a little bit, and welcome everybody to the virtual summit. This is our last one for the summit, so it's kind of bittersweet, but we're gonna try to do our best to entertain you and educate you, maybe even get you to participate. We want you to participate in this because we want to end this thing with a bang. So DJ didn't introduce herself, but let's take a minute to stop and let's talk to the silver fox. DJ, go ahead and introduce yourself to the people.
Yes, absolutely, Tim. Thank you again. So excited to be part of the Kidney Trail Summit. I am a live streamer, podcaster as well, speaker. I love to talk about mental health, disability, and trauma that we all share. My show is really about breaking stigmas. I love to really represent and have these kinds of conversations where we can empower others that have been through some of the hardest times of their life and they've really been fighting. And it's really an honor, again, to be part of the summit, showcase you and what you're going to be bringing today, and really support Anthony and the whole team. Just an amazing 3 days from what I've seen. Just the engagement levels, the support, just everyone really understanding that this is important for all of us. I mean, whether it's kidney care or not, I mean, we've all got some mayhem going on. So that's really what I'm about, just here to support each other's mayhem and, bring what I can and as much energy as I can to this conversation.
All right. Thank you, DJ. So we'll go ahead and we'll get started. I see Richard says, hey, Richard, how's it going? And we're going to talk about Richard a little bit too here today.
Wonderful.
So let us get started. So today, our presentation. Here we go. The importance of sharing your story. So one of the things we want to talk about today is how to share our story, why we share a story, when to share a story, all of those rolled into one. So I figured it would be good for me to start with my story. My story is that at 23 years old, I was married, love of my life. It's who I prayed for. Okay, I was able to get or be married to the woman that I prayed for. And just like anyone else, I felt like, hey, man, this is the turning point. Life is getting good. Now it's going to come, the house, the kids, all of those things that we dreamed of. And we tried to have a child and we were unsuccessful and thought nothing of it. We said, okay, we'll try again later. Well, we went through multiple miscarriages. And that excitement went from, oh my God, I'm going to be a father, when I heard that she was pregnant, to, oh my God, what are we going to do whenever I heard that she was pregnant? Because it takes a toll on you. We didn't have the answers. We didn't understand what was going on. You start to think, is it something that I did? Am I being punished for something that I did somewhere that I didn't know about? Or, what's going on? And after multiple ones, we were able to see a specialist, and the specialist was able to work with us. And we found out that my wife had a rare blood type, and what her blood type was doing was creating clots. So the fetus could not grow. But the toll that it took on me, the toll that it took on her, I watched her multiple times get the excitement of, I'm going to be a mother, we're going to be a family. And then to suffer the heartache of thinking that it may never be possible, that it just wasn't going to happen. It began to eat at us emotionally. It began to eat at us mentally. That's a hard thing to go through. And us being best friends, we couldn't talk to one another about it. So all of that hurt, that pain, that worry just sat on us for years and years and years. Until one day, we were able to meet with the specialist, and he gave us an opportunity to kind of go through a treatment that they thought maybe it would work. And it did. My wife gave birth to my daughter. I was 27. So we went through this for multiple years. I was 27 or 26 when my daughter was born. And that moment that I got to hold her and look in those big brown eyes, I felt like life was taking a turn for the better. Like nothing else bad could happen in my life. And I remember my wife and I had talked about, as soon as this baby's born, I want you to follow her. I want you to go with her wherever she goes, because we do not want to lose this baby as long as it took us to have her. And I followed her while she was, getting weighed, and they, check her footprints and make sure she cries and she can see and hear and those kinds of things. And they told me about 45 minutes, my wife would be in recovery. Well, an hour went by and I hadn't heard anything. That turned into 2 hours, which turned into 3 hours. And finally someone comes out and they said, well, Mrs. Jackson, she's doing better now. She's in recovery, but we almost lost her. You see, she had to have blood thinners in order to just have a child. She had to suffer taking a needle each day in her stomach and each night, just to be able to give her husband she felt like he wanted at the time was a child and a family. And she went through that willingly. And now I was at a point where I'm like, well, I have a baby that I had no idea what to do. And my wife is in there and she's suffering for something that I felt like she did for me. And I began to pray. And I remember that prayer just like it was yesterday. And I prayed that God would get me through it. Now, fast forward, not only did God bless me with one miracle baby, he blessed me with two. I have a son as well. And he blessed us with a happy marriage that we're coming up on 23 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you. That was the beginning point of what I call built for this. It let me know that if I just keep fighting on, if I keep my faith strong, if I keep doing what I believe is right, that things will work out for me. Now, with that, I had that sense again that life is turning, things are going to get better. But along the way, I lost my father at 27. And it happened kind of randomly to me. I knew he wasn't feeling well and doing well, but we had talked to the doctor one day and the doctor said, keep this up, you may be going home tomorrow. We were at the hospital. And I remember talking to him, and my dad wasn't the type to go to church with us. He was like, I'm a hard worker, I do right by my family, but we never got to that spiritual point. So I would leave, books out for him, hoping that he'd read them, and like little, things out like scriptures, and thinking maybe he'll pass by and start to read it. Well, on May the 16th, our pastor visited him, and without us knowing, my dad committed his life to Christ. On the 19th, my dad passed. So while I was hurt in losing my father, I felt like there was a lesson there. So the way that I talked to my father was the way that I began to pray. I was specific. I was, more strategic. I had emotion in my prayer, and my life started to turn. The things that were hard were no longer hard. And when they were, I had an out. But the one thing I realized is all this time, I never shared my story. And I didn't understand the importance of sharing your story. There was Jim Valvano in 1993 at the ESPYs, gave a speech, don't give up, don't ever give up. But the part that I like to take from that speech was, he said, every day you should do three things. You should spend time laughing. You should spend some time in thought, and you should have your emotions move to tears. And he said, that's a full day. We've had a full week here at Kidney Trails because we've had some laughter. We've had a lot to think about, and we've had our emotions moved to tears or to the brink of tears, and we've taken a lot away. And the reason that we have that is because of our stories. So I'm going to share with you the importance of telling your story. All right. There are three keys that I want you to take from this. Why are stories important? So we'll talk about that briefly. Why are they so important to what we're doing here? Who should share their story? And lastly, how to share your story. So the first thing is, why are stories important? So I want to come to the audience a little bit, or DJ, let's have a little chat. What do you think? Why do you feel stories are so important?
Well, first of all, I want to go back to what you were sharing, and I really want to just show some respect and some admiration for your story and honor that and validate that and just say thank you for sharing. Thank you for being part of those that teach others how to do this, because it's not easy. So I appreciate you. I commend you for, sharing those vulnerabilities, right, that we all have. But really, I find it so important to share stories. And that was one of the purposes that I wanted to have a show really tailored with mental health, disability, and trauma, to show the importance of our stories, how they bring us together and how they create a connection that can turn into a community. So for me, that would be one of the key fundamental components of that, is storytelling, and why I find it so incredibly valuable and important. And something that I think we should all really kind of learn our own story so we can share it. But we'll talk more about that, I'm sure.
I agree. Tisha, you're here. I'll ask you as well.
Well, hello to everyone. It's nice to be in the room. And thank you, Tim. DJ, nice to see you here. It's good to be connected to you. The importance of telling stories. Community, absolutely. Love that. Wholeheartedly agree with it. Also, storytelling is healing internally. Rather than carry something around, good news or not so great news, it's healing to let it out in the atmosphere. And when you let it out in the atmosphere, hopefully someone else is healed by it. So it's a two-way street, and sharing information is part of relationship building. It's how you learn trust. And I imagine that most of us here in this space are in some form of self-employment or enjoying working for someone and working for ourselves at the same time. And relationship building is how we build businesses and networks and vast systems of ways to be a resource to someone else in their community. So that's what I say.
All right, that's right. And Richard says people remember stories. We always remember how they make us feel. So you're absolutely right, Richard. And that's one of the things that I wanted to talk about a little bit today, is what do stories do? Sorry, guys, I have a little bit of a delay here. Okay, the things that stories do. What do stories do? Stories inspire us. Stories motivate us. They educate us, they entertain us, and they connect us, just like you guys said. So I know when you look at inspire us and motivate us, some people feel like, oh, that's the same thing. Yes, they both get you to a point, but there's different ways to get you to that point. I think of inspiration as someone pulling you to a point. Okay, they're inspiring you. Their stories inspire you to want to get up and move. They're telling you that you can do it just like they did it. Motivation is pushing, where they tell you directly, come on, get up. You need to get up and move. That's motivation. And educate us. This is something that when you look at the LinkedIn world, that's where a lot of education from professionals there. They'll teach you things. They show you how to do things and processes. And entertain us. I look at the TikTokers and the reels for entertainment. Entertaining us sometimes will take our minds off of the many things that are going through our minds at the time. So it's always good sometimes to unplug completely from social media and the online world. But at times it's a great escape just to get things back into perspective and not worry so much about life. And lastly, what we've been able to accomplish here with the virtual summit is the connection. You had like-minded people together in a group, in the rooms together, interacting with one another. We all took something from one another. We all shared emotions. We shared stories. And it's very important to know that those stories, once we take them and put them in our backpack and carry on, those stories are what will take us to the next level. Now, the question is who should share their story? So I asked the group, who do you feel should share their stories?
It's a good question. Do you want me to go first?
Sure.
I'll go first. For me, really, everyone should share their stories because it relates us. It gives other people an opportunity to connect with you in a way. If you can share a story and be, what's the word I want to say? Just kind of, if it's your story and it's genuine, people will connect with it, I think. Mm-hmm. So that's what I'm trying to say. You don't want it to be something fake or constructed, but you have to find that your voice and your story and be clear in it and make it relatable. So
I agree. Anyone else want to comment?
I'd like to add to the conversation. So on an individual basis, if we just try to identify some types of individuals who will want to share their story or who should or who could, individuals who are scared have great stories to share. Individuals who are imperfect, which is every single person, have great stories to share. Individuals who are incredibly confident have stories to share. And then on an organizational level, brands have stories to share. We hear them every day across any media outlet. Stories are not just from people, they're from organizations, they're from networks and systems. And each is different, each is prized, each hopefully resonates with the person it needs to at the time they need it.
I love that. Yeah, right. I know I wouldn't agree with what Tisha said, because it's true. Brands and organizations do have their own story, and it's important for that organization to know its own story. And that in itself, right, has to again be original and authentic for it to connect, to create and fulfill the mission and the purpose that it's supposed to.
I agree. Now, you guys are looking at me and I'm looking down. Full transparency moment here. in the middle of my presentation, my slides just froze. So now I'm looking at it on my phone. So we're working through it.
Yeah, it's all good.
Oh, wow. So yes, I feel like everyone should share their story. You're right. You never know when your story is going to touch the heart of someone who needs it. And just like we are told, we want to go out and touch every heart that we can. So your story of how you got through something might be the blueprint for the next person. Now, for me, being an introvert, or I'm an introvert until I get to know you, then I don't shut up. So me being an introvert, it was hard for me to share my story. One, because when I start to think about it, the emotions come back. And it's hard to fight through emotions sometimes. Two, the vulnerability with your story. You know, not everybody's comfortable. I come from Southern Black home. You don't put your business out there like that. There's some things you keep your dirty laundry, as they say, in home. So sharing, you gotta let all that out. And that's a hard thing to do. And I think that's important in the mental field as well. There's a relief in sharing your story. There's something about getting it off your chest, so to speak. Those years that I was telling you about, where both my wife and I were thinking about the other, we didn't take the time to sit down and talk to each other about it. So just imagine how much of a load that could have been off of her if I would have told her the most important thing in my life is you. And if she would have told me the most important thing in my life is you. Now, we had this conversation after our first child, or just before our first child, because she says once she let go and let God, everything worked out. And so when we had the chance to raise our kids, that was one of the things we talked about, was like, you are empowered to tell your story. If you're hurting, I want you to say, I'm hurting. If I say something as a dad that hurts your feelings, I want you to say to me, Dad, that hurt my feelings, and we can talk about it. But that's what sharing your story does. It creates a level of respect and togetherness that you don't normally see, or you didn't normally see that coming up. And I feel like Kidney Trails is creating that. When I first started with Anthony, we were friends before, and you know, there was a relationship there before. When he asked me about Kidney Trails, I was like, man, I don't know anything about the kidney business. But we knew enough of each other's stories, and we had a relationship that evolved over the years that made this work. And that's what I feel like our stories kind of intertwine. Yes, from the outside, it looks like, okay, this is about, you know, dialysis patients and getting through that. And I'm talking about trying to be, you know, being a father and a husband and all of those struggles. But it's the same thing. You go through the same emotions, mental process, but it just looks different. And I had a slide that was prepared that would show you, like, if you think about a patient, the patient can tell you what's going on from their perspective. So they can see one wall. And then you have the doctor who can tell you from the medical perspective what's going on. So that's your second wall. Now you have the staff, and their story is completely different from the first two. They're dealing with the doctor and the patient, and they got a family at home. So you don't know what they're going through. And lastly is the loved ones. All of those people have loved ones that they go home to. And all day long, you're pouring and pouring and pouring and pouring. What do you have left when you get home? How can you pace yourself so that you can get home and be a 100 or A+ at home, just like you're A+ at work? Everything that you do should be 100%. But how do you do that if nobody's telling you the story? If nobody gives you instructions on how to do it? DJ, you stream. I have no idea how to do that. So the only way I would know is by your stories, you telling me, Tim, these are the steps that you must do. And you couldn't do that if you decided, hey, today I'm going to be an introvert, and I don't want to tell people how I go through this, because they don't know that I got this and this taped together just to make it work. Well, I need that tape. So we have to learn to not be selfish and keep those stories to ourselves, and share those stories with each other. And this is one of the best platforms I've ever been a part of, because I've been able to hear those stories and I've been able to take those lessons, put them in my backpack without going through the struggles that the speakers had to go through. But I can go back and think, Goya, get off your and go. And that's what this and the Kidney Trails Broadcasting Network, this is the kind of thing that we want to bring to people. It's not just kidneys, it's everything. It's life. We want to teach life lessons. We want to partner with you guys to teach life lessons. You guys are too amazing to try to stay up to yourself. So we want to share that with the world. We want to partner with you to do that. So I've gotten way off track, like I said I would. But I want to hear your reactions to that. Do you guys agree or?
Listen, I love what the Kidney Trails, the broadcasting, like the team's doing with the publishing. I mean, sharing those stories are absolutely incredible. But I don't want to go first. I want Tisha to go first because I know you had your hand raised, so I don't want to jump over. So you go and share. But I agree with Tim.
I am in tune with what you will be saying, and I appreciate the floor. Tim, I have heard the word introvert numerous times in the last 15 minutes. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I've learned about introverts, because my definition of that has changed since the pandemic. But one of the things that I learned is that introverts, even in their silence, are telling us a story, because body language is the first language that we speak. And everybody who has at least one sense of the senses we are given can feel or recognize the presence of body language. That's a story in itself. So I wanted to acknowledge and share some admiration to those who identify as introverts. It's not me. I'm the opposite of that. However, I appreciate someone who can go internally and retreat somewhere and find peace and reflection and recharge in their own space and in that headspace or their moment of faith or reflection or what that takes. But I just wanted to reiterate that body language is the first story that we tell somebody when we encounter them oftentimes.
Oh, I love that. Because you can read somebody's body language, and if what they're saying does not match that body language, we already start to question it. So we do read that body. I never thought of that. Look at that. Dropping some gold, Tisha. I love it. I wanted to make one comment. So before we move on, Tim, this goes back to what you were saying about stories. I wrote down, and it goes back to cultural teachings. I know many of us culturally, I'm a Latina. Mental health is not something that's taught to you, right? And what you shared is culturally, we're taught to suppress stories we don't share. It's nobody's business. We keep moving on. And, that's the way we've been conditioned. So really, it's about unlearning that and how it's actually hurt so many, right? Devastated so many. So now I think we're just really, what I love about this is that we're changing that, right? We're reconditioning ourselves. We're encouraging others to say, well, no, we need to share these stories. We need to find ways to unite and service each other, assist each other, encourage each other to keep going and not give up. Because we're losing too many lives. Too many people are giving up. And that's another side conversation, but we know how it goes from, a diagnosis that just, you don't know what can happen and where the darkness that it can take you to. So in honor of that, encouraging others to share their stories, especially people of color, of different cultural ethnicities, and really understanding that there has been what we've been taught, and now really how we can empower each other to say, we gotta take care of each other. We're all in, you know what I mean?
Yes.
So that was it. I just really wanted to make that comment and bring attention to that, and letting others tell their story as their own, right? Like not telling somebody's story for them. But that's something I'd love to talk about in this conversation. So if anybody wants to jump on that at some point, I would love to touch on that.
Yes, and that's what my next point was going to be, the importance of the story, because it helps the next person. So something that's going on in I'll say our nation is suicide rates. You've seen them jump, and it's happening now where it's in people that you never would have thought. You know, there's people that are successful in what they do, and they're going through something mentally and emotionally. And I think about, like I said, I have a daughter, she's 18, she's going to college. I worry because now she's not right here where I can talk to her and see her face and see the body language. And you see all the time the stresses that happen for college kids. The second thing I have is my son. My son is 14 and he's getting to the age where he's going to start driving. And that's a whole nother conversation that he and I would have to have. And then you look at, recently we had a tornado in the area where we're from, close to the area where we're from. And there were kids in elementary school. It went right by their school. So there's a trauma that comes along with that. The only way they get through these things is by hearing the stories of how others have overcome, by learning the strategies to get you through. Box breathing. That was one thing that was important to me, is I had to learn how to breathe, believe it or not. When stress comes, can I take 4 seconds to take a deep breath, 4 seconds to hold it, 4 seconds to release it, wait 4 seconds and repeat the process 2 to 3 times just to calm down, to be able to even do something like this in front of the camera. It would just freak me out. So I had to learn box breathing. And we have to be able to teach those same things to our babies, I say, even though they're 18, 19, 20, they're still our babies. We have to teach our babies how to get through these things. If you have someone who is going through, kidney disease, we have to teach them how to handle all that comes with that, the physical, the mental, the emotional, and that's our stories teach them that. Our loved ones who are helping us through that. It's a huge stress for someone trying to take care of someone who's not feeling well. Again, we have to help them through that. We have to have things like this, open forums where we can talk and discuss and give, tips and tricks of how to get through those things. So you're absolutely right. The story has to be open and ongoing and involved in ways. You see the metaverse is here. Okay, let's jump in there and talk to them. Twitch, let's talk to them. Everywhere we can, we should be sharing the story of how to overcome, how to get through. Sorry, guys, I was up again.
No, you're good. No, we didn't know. I was like, do I wait? We good? No, but I love it. Yeah. I mean, the more we tell our stories, the more we see the diversity in the stories, the similarities and the diversity, the different perspectives. It just enriches everyone's opportunities, everyone's understanding, and everyone's levels of empathy and compassion. So.
Okay, the next step is how to tell your story. Okay, there are different ways to tell your story. One is like a conference like we're doing here or meetings. We can create more of these throughout the world where people can come together, share the stories, share the support, and just think about how much of an impact that will make. The next one is podcasting. I love podcasting because I like to talk and I like to hear other people's stories. So podcasting has been a key to me because I've been able to take a nugget from every conversation I've ever had in my podcast with someone. The next thing is, like, you guys streaming and live streaming. That's another huge one because you have the ability to touch millions of people while you're sitting there in the comforts of your own home, and you can share a message with a bunch of people at one time. So streaming is really important. Social media, every day we have an opportunity on social media to just stop for a second, record ourselves talking while we're in our cars or, sitting at lunch. Go live while you're at lunch and just have a conversation, open up the conversation to people. let's try some new things we've never done before and put ourselves in a vulnerable area and let's see what happens. That's what we're doing right now. We're figuring it out. And refer back to my notes real quick. I think I've got all of those, but those are the different ways that we can do it. And then here in a minute, I'm going to ask for some participation. All right. So I'm going to ask that everyone has a cell phone. If you can get your cell phone and hold it in your hand here, and I want you to record a video and tell me something that you've learned over the last 3 days at the virtual summit. And I want you to post it to your social media with the hashtag KT Summit. All right. Something that you've learned, something that you've taken away, whatever it may be. It could be that Tim has the worst internet connection in the world. I post it. KT Summit, hashtag KT Summit, and we'll share it with the world. I want people to ask you, what is the KT Summit? That way you can unload on them all the information that you've gotten for this week. Because we've heard well for ourselves, and it is now time for us to do. All the talking is done. There's nothing left to be said. We've had some great speakers. Thank you, ladies, for the interaction today. And, you know, we got through this with technical difficulties. We've been fighting through, and now it's almost at the time to celebrate and then rest. So if anyone has any questions, I'm here to answer whatever questions you may have, and I can give you like some tools that I use to help share messages. And I'm going to pull up the contact information for me and DJ while we're talking. So if anyone has any questions, please feel free to ask them now.
I definitely have a question. Tim, you can tell by your shirt, by the graphic that you have on here, by the name that you go by on social media, that you are a man of faith, right? I am imagining that you're familiar with what the Bible says about not allowing people to despise you because of your youth. We're talking about young people, children. We're talking about telling our stories of mental health. I would love for both of you to chime into this question. Can you think of a story about how a child in your life told you about their day, how they were dealing with stress in their day without telling you that they were having some mental health issues? You know, children don't necessarily know that, but they're great communicators. And if we listen, they're telling us stuff. So do either one of you have an example of how a child maybe has approached you about starting a mental health conversation without them knowing it? And what did you say to them?
Oh, Tisha, you know, I'll jump with you. Okay. So a little bit about my background does include working with children in the child welfare system, children that were abused, various types of abuse, foster care, whatnot. And those are children oftentimes with lots of trauma, complex traumas, mental health issues, and they're not really aware, right? They have behavioral issues, emotional issues, lots of dysregulating functions. And so sometimes you have to listen closely and really pay attention because there are so many things that they're saying without saying it. And so for me, I've been through that, I think, too many times, some pleasant, some very engaging, and then some that have been very difficult when you're trying to understand what they really are saying, what they want to say, but they don't know how, they can't find the words, they can't express, they don't know the name of that emotion, that feeling. And I would say, in my experience, with a lot of the times, those kids, again, going back to conditioning, they've conditioned to not share, to not say, this is normal. So for me, it really is about the nonverbal. It's about, for my intuition and how I've already established a trust and a connection. How do they communicate? Is it in their smile? Is it in the way they turn their head? Is it in the way that they may say a key word, right? Their language. So that would be my answer in my experiences.
Yeah, I've been I guess, blessed enough to where I work with a lot of children, and I've had a connection with them. I don't think it's anything I did. I think it's a gift that I've been given that I have to learn how to use it in the right direction. But a lot of those kids I see myself in. I see, I can see my friends in them, so I can relate to them on a personal level. So I've been lucky enough that they will talk to me for the most part. And when they seem like they won't, I'm able to, hey, let's step over here for a minute and chat. We like some of the same things. I'm a big kid. So we have some relatability there, but also they've gotten to know me as a person that will help them avoid some of the pitfalls of life. They know that they can come to me at any point in time and tell me anything. I even tell my kids, there's nothing in this world that you can say to me that will make me not love you. So you can say whatever you need to say to me, even if I don't like it, I'm still gonna love you. And part of that is because, like I said, we went through more than 9 miscarriages before my first child was born. And then we went through more before my son was born. So I understand the miracle that is a life. And I understand how precious it is because of what happened with my father. So every day is, for me, is an opportunity to be a light to someone. I have to give it back because I've been blessed so much. I can't just keep it to myself. I have to be able to give. And that puts me in a tough spot because I value impact over income, so to speak. So I'm willing to give, which is not good when you're an entrepreneur. That's not a good thing. But I say that to say this, that yes, I notice it. I see the need for it. And I'm trying to fight my butt off to get in there and help. But you run into walls where we talked about earlier. You can't just go into a school and say, hey, I want to talk to kids. You can't just say, I'm creating this thing and I want kids to come and be invited. You do have to show and prove. So your life has to speak for that. But every day I'm given an opportunity to do so. I'm going to do it until I have nothing left, because I know how important it is for our future and our kids' future to do that, to be that person that they can come to talk to. I don't want to lose any more babies here. Right. So I want to work my butt off and be that open vessel for them. Anytime they need me for advice, I'm here. And if I don't know the answer, it's my job. Take your problem and go find the answer for you.
Do we have a moment, or may I share an experience that I learned from a 6-year-old? Do we have that moment? Okay. So if you're familiar with the stage play, the book, Everything I Need to Learn, I Learned in Kindergarten. I think that kindergartners are master teachers. I think that if we stop and listen to them, they will teach us as much as we are trying to teach them. I remember when my youngest daughter was in kindergarten and I was trying to learn her communication style, make sure that she knew my communication style. She learned something at school and came home and taught me a lesson. So she comes home from school one particular day. I said something that offended this 6-year-old. And her quip back to me, with as much authority as I gave my quip to her, was, "Mommy, you emptied my bucket." And I've never heard somebody say that, but I understood in that moment she had more to tell me. And as a speaker, it was difficult for me to shut my mouth and open my ears, but I stopped talking long enough to get an understanding of what that meant. And I say all this to say that when we're talking about sharing our story, it's a two-way street. It is a conversation. And like you both mentioned, it's ongoing. And so I want to just be able to share a conversation starter that my daughter and I since put into place after I learned ways that I was emptying her bucket. I wanted to fill her bucket. And so we said from then on that if we ever had a moment like this, where we disagreed in conversation, or if it looked like one of us getting angry, I don't believe in being angry at the same time someone else is angry at me. That leads to arguments, and that's unhealthy for communication. What we decided to put in place, and then I'll close my mouth, was for the next, that was 12 years ago. To this day, we still say, can we start over? If I upset her or offend her and she makes it clear to me through her body language, because I'm her mama, she's not going to just say anything. I'll ask her, can we start over? And she does the same with me. That has been a way to keep the conversation going so we can continue to relay good communication and stories to one another. Tim, she's in college, 2,000 miles away from home, but I sense that you and your wife have raised your children in a way that they'll continue the conversation with you, and that you'll be able to turn your worry over to Christ, because I can tell you're a man of faith, and trust in what you've given the child to become a reliable young adult.
Thank you. Thank you. So guys, I'll tell you, that was the end of my presentation. Thank you guys for hanging in there with me. Thank you for listening and sharing and helping us push this along. And again, the biggest thing about sharing our story is KT Broadcasting Network wants to share your stories. So please reach out to us. Let us know how we can help. We are here. We're available to help when you need. Anthony has extended the invitation as well. So Anthony, if you have anything else to close us out.
I mean, how do we follow up? Yeah, I have to say this whole week has been, you're right, it's been a lot of emotions. It's brought us a emotional high a lot of times, and then bring us down to the point that we just look at each other, and Tim, you and I looked at each other during one session, so it's like, wow. And it was, and that was the vision. It's that vision back in 2014 when I sat in that chair, and this is what I wanted to hear. I wanted to hear the success stories. I wanted to hear how somebody overcame the challenges in their life, especially challenges that, especially in the dialysis room where I was at the time. And then later on in life, I realized that it's more than just dialysis, it's life's challenges. Where can I learn that? And, thankfully I was learning from those individuals. But it has been an amazing week this week. This is, as I said the other day, it was a dream that started in 2014 that turned into a vision that now is reality. We've got a few more minutes and we're done. I liked what you said. We have been well. We have heard well this week. Now it's time to do. The topic of this whole summit was conquering the unknown territories of kidney disease. And I think each and every session showed everybody how to conquer those unknown territories, but not just of kidney disease, of anything in life. People can take these lessons and apply it to their lives, and to be able to come out more fruitful and more bountiful because of it. This is not just, this will continue to live on no matter what. I think each of us can agree to that, and each one has contributed. Those of us in the room today, DJ and Tisha, y'all have been a big influence on me. Your stories, what I would hear, the different thoughts that y'all would bring out, and I'd take it and apply it. I was telling somebody the other day, I said, the thing is, and I was telling Tisha and I were having that conversation earlier. These stories, if somebody goes out and does something they took from your story, you have touched other people. I'm not here because of me. I'm here because of a ton of other people that shared their story, shared their journey, taught me. I'm here because of those kidney coaches that shared everything the knowledge that they had to be able to help me along my journey. And out of those kidney coaches, there's one left. And now the legacy continues. Somebody else, it's time to pick up the torch. And I think you're right, Tim. We've heard very well this week. It's time for everybody to go out and start doing with what they have heard. But it has been an amazing, amazing summit. Tisha, thank you so very much for showing up. It's an honor, it really is. And DJ, it's like I said, thank you. How else? And Tim, one of my mentors. Every one of y'all have been my mentors. And I'll go back to what I said originally the first day is I've been surrounded by greatness this week. I've been able to learn and take and apply it. This has been an amazing, to all those out there in the world, this is an amazing feeling. I hope that eventually each and every one of you can experience this. I trust that each and every one of you will reach that destination that you're looking for. And I hope that in some way, each one of us has helped you along that way. I really, really, truly appreciate all the speakers and moderators. We appreciate it. Appreciate your time, effort, your labor. This did not come by just showing up. It was a labor. It was day in, day out for the speakers, working on their speeches, the moderators, getting prepared, learning about the speakers, learning about the way to best present it. And it was Tim sitting in the room with me when things were going a little haywire. We're trying to figure this stuff out together. It was Diane and then Carol and then Dwayne. Everybody had a part in this. And I want from the depths of my heart to thank each and every one of y'all. So to all the live streamers, is any of y'all DJ? Do you have anything you want to say?
I just thank you for the opportunity. You just definitely moving all the work you're doing, just fighting and leading and guiding and just putting this together. I couldn't be more humbled and honored to just be recruited for a little part here with this greatness. And just that's all. I just want to say thank you so much. And Tim, I love what you say. I've been blessed myself in life in all kinds of ways. And for me, it's all about sharing my energy, my light, my blessings with anyone and everyone who needs it and wants it. So I understand that. Doing what we can, taking the action.
Tisha, is there anything you would like to say?
I'm grateful that you have a heart to think of others. You've experienced some things in life where you could have been keeping the focus on you, but someone in your path or someone's or something in your path touched you and gave you a heart for others and for community. And thank you for welcoming me into yours. And it's a blessing to call you friend. And it's amazing to see this have been brought to fruition and now reality. Congratulations on the final moments of the inaugural Kidney Trails Virtual Summit. I look forward to 2023 and beyond.
Thank you. Tim?
I just wanted to ask this week, did you laugh?
Did I laugh?
We laughed. Yes, we laughed, right? After we fixed everything, we laughed. Did we think? Yeah, we had a lot of thinking. Did I cry? Yeah, last night when I was redoing this slide, I cried. But man, it's been a wonderful week. It's been great, man. I'm honored that you asked me to be a part of it. Nothing will ever in its life touch this moment that I feel right now, man. To see a vision all the way through from the time you said, hey, I have an idea I want to do, and I jumped in and was like, hey, let's go. We are doing this now. To this moment, to see that this is complete in just what, 5-6 minutes, you will have completed your first ever virtual summit. So congratulations to you, man.
Woo!
And at the birthday party, have your piece of cake and take a moment to celebrate what you've done. This is amazing.
I appreciate it. I'm gonna put her on the spot, but Diane.
I was waiting on you to call my name. I knew it was coming. This has just been great. It's been an honor to be a part of it. To see it come, full circle has been amazing. I've learned a lot. And I'm looking forward to next year's summit. I know it's going to be another super event, another group of great speakers, great teams. It's just been a true blessing.
Alrighty. Well, we're here at the last few minutes, ladies and gentlemen, to those in the live streaming world on all of our channels. I want to thank each and every one of y'all for tuning in. Thank you to the audience for being so attentive and interactive with each and every one of the speakers. Once again, to all the speakers and moderators, I appreciate your time and your effort, your labor. To our sponsors who have helped sponsor this summit, thank you from the bottom of my heart. It just would not have been possible without you and everything that y'all have done. And it's each and every one of y'all. It's not just one of us that did it, it's everybody. To whoever, we really want to thank you here at the Kidney Trails and at the KT Broadcasting Network. As we go through, as we get ready to end this session, I want you to know that I want you to, first of all, I hope you have gotten the materials that you need to help conquer these unknown territories. And just because this summit ends doesn't mean another one's not in the works. We've got some more things coming up. Look for some new notifications coming about in the fall. We've got some new things coming up. We're more than likely going to be planning another one for next year. And who knows, the way the talk's going, it could be live and virtual. But whatever it is, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. There's one thing I know. No matter where you're at, remember, you're always one step closer to the next peak. I appreciate it. Thank you. And y'all have a good rest of your week.